we are going to be learning about a really awesome and really simple cake technique called ganache. It's very popular these days among cakers because people are finding that they can use it to create really crisp and clean corners on their round as well as their square cakes. It makes your fondant look excellent, and even if you want to use it alone, that's good too because it looks, fabulously smooth, and people always wonder how to achieve this look. So I'm going to do a short tutorial on ganaching and show you how to make the magic happen. You can see here that we're starting with a cake that's already been trimmed, filled, and stacked. Also, what I did was I took a ruler and I measured my cake. And then I took 2 pieces of corrugated cardboard, food safe ones, and I cut them down so that they have about 3/4 of an inch on the width and the height to accommodate the ganache that has to go onto the cake. So the 2 that I have here happen to be 8.5 by 11.5, and that leaves a little bit of a lip there so that you can pack the ganache in. And that's really the secret to getting the square sides, because these are going to act as a guide for you. And then also I have this piece of parchment paper. This is wax paper actually, and this is just going to go right on top of the cake, and that's pretty much an exact fit to go underneath this board here, which is going to go like that. Okay, and then the other thing that you're going to need is an offset spatula. You're going to need a small offset spatula, that's for later. And then I have 2 metal bench scrapers. You can do it with 1, but I just like to use 2 because that helps you to get the corners a little bit better. And then I'm just going to grab our ganache, which is setting up, and we'll get started with icing our cake. We have our ganache here. It is ready. And this I just made not that long ago, probably it's been about 2 hours. But what I did was that I let it set up in the freezer so that it would have the right consistency. You want it to be something like the consistency of like an icing, like a buttercream. You don't want it to be too soft, but you don't want it to be too hard either. And if it happens to just get a little bit hard, you can put it back on the stove and put it over your double boiler to warm up. Or if it gets a little bit too, if it's a little bit too soft, you can just put it in the freezer until you get it to be the consistency that you need in order to spread it on your cake. What we're going to do to begin everything is we want to take our ganache that is ready to go, and we're just going to place it on top and make like an icing layer for your top layer, and then we're going to flip it over, and that'll really create the that's the basis for the crispy corners and for a smooth flat top. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with that. And this ganache recipe is actually right off of our written blog, so you can go find that there. Ganache, such a fancy word. It's like, kind of intimidating, but really it's the simplest thing in the world. It's just cream and chocolate. Okay, and then you're just going to begin smoothing all the way to the corners. And don't worry about it if it goes over a little bit, that's totally fine. So just go ahead and with a nice, it's kind of like a flick of your wrist kind of motion going on here, smooth it all the way to the corners. Same way that you would do if you were icing a cake with buttercream. Okay, so that's about good. Then just smooth it over top. Turn that. And the goal here is to get your ganache to be as level as you possibly can. So good. Creamy, chocolatey deliciousness. Then I just want to go around the sides and do a crumb coat so that these crumbs don't get into the ganache. Put it here so you can see it. This is the same like with buttercream. Really doesn't matter for this. Shouldn't dip this back in here, but it'll be okay. So it really doesn't matter. You just want to get it on there. And get those crumbs stuck inside. Ideally, you would have an extra bowl for the crumb dicing, but I don't because I'm being very careful. But really, to make life easier on yourself, you should just use an extra bowl. Okay, so that's pretty good. Alright, so the next step here is that we want to put our wax or parchment paper right on top and try to get that even as you can. Smooth it down. This is essentially going to be the top of your cake still, but while we're icing, we're just going to flip it over so that it pushes out the air pockets and flattens the ganache. Then I just want to take my one cardboard and actually take and put a little bit of ganache down so it adheres and doesn't really slide around. Okay. Make sure there are gaps on both sides of your cake. That's where the ganache is going to go. Okay, and then the next thing you want to do is you're going to take this, your offset spatula, and you're going to flip your cake over. Okay. I'm also going to put a little ganache down here. Help it stick a little better. Okay, then we just want to flip it over. All right, and now you can see a little better where that gap is between the edge of your cake and the cardboard. And if it's not as quite as even as you want it to be, this will be the time to push your cake over a little bit so that you have an even gap on all sides. And you can see our bottom board that we have here. We're actually going to leave that, but I'm going to take a little ganache and put it so that this bottom board stick really well. All right, now what you're going to do to make sure that your cake boards are even with each other is you're just going to use both bench scrapers, and this is why it pays to have two as well, and just go around and press in on each side. Like that. Make sure you're putting pressure on both sides evenly. That'll make sure your cake stays square and nice and even all the way around. The next thing that we want to do is check for the leveling on the cake. So you just take an engineer's level and you check to make sure that that bubble is in the middle. If it's not all the way in the middle, just push whatever side you need to down so that you make sure that your cake is pretty level. Now that everything is level, checked, everything is even, again, you want to start off with the most perfect base that you can. Make sure everything is measured and, you know, just as tight as you can possibly get it so that your end product is a lot easier to get it square and smooth and straight. All that's done, so we're going to go ahead and start filling it in. Just want to go around filling your cake in, starting at the top or the bottom, either one, it doesn't really matter. And then filling the middle in last. So we're going around the bottom here, just filling in, no real rhyme or reason to this. The thing that you want to make sure you do in this situation is just make sure you fill up the whole space in between the cake and the board. You want this gap to be completely full. Other than that, it's kind of like a free-for-all. Just ice in whatever way you do best. Not a big deal. The best way to get it on the top is kind of take your ganache and scrape it up against the board, almost like you're scraping your spatula clean with the edge of the board. Also, it helps if your cake is a little bit more cold, that the ganache will harden up as you place it onto the cake. Mine is still a little bit soft, and that's okay. I mean, I can work with it, but if your cake is cold, it'll make it easier for you. Now you want to take your bench scraper and use your cardboard as a guide. And let's see, I'm gonna get chocolate all over my shirt now. Don't do the corners yet because I want to use both bench scrapers to do the corner. But basically you're gonna go along and scrape off the excess chocolate, pressing up against the board, and that way you can see where you actually need more chocolate there. Go once around and scrape, stopping at the corner because you really want the corners to stay built up. You don't want to take the chocolate off of the corners. So start a little bit in from the corner and go, 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 go till you get to the corner and then stop it. Okay, and then I will show you momentarily what to do with the corners. But in the meantime, I need to build this up just a little bit more. So I'm gonna take some more ganache and fill in the areas that aren't quite smooth, these little pockets and grooves here. The corners you almost just like press the ganache in. You're not really pulling it off. You're kind of just pressing it and then pulling it out from there. See how I'm building up here? And then when I'm getting to the corners, I'm kind of just pressing. See that? After I do this, it's so funny because it's like chocolate everywhere in every corner and crevice of my kitchen for like the next 5 minutes. This just makes me so happy when I smooth it and it actually is like, beautiful smooth sides. Oh my God. That's how you know you're a cake decorator. When this makes you slightly orgasmic, you're definitely a cake decorator. The next thing that you're gonna do to get your sides incredibly smooth and perfect is that you're gonna heat up, boil some hot water. You're going to smooth your sides with a heated bench scraper as opposed to just a room temperature one. And that's really gonna get all these little imperfections all smoothed out and great for you. So I'm going to clean this up and I'm going to clean my cake up, and then I will be back with boiling water. A bowl with boiling hot water. And grab a paper towel. Okay, so I am just going to dip my bench scraper, just the tip of it, into the boiling hot water. Let it heat up for a little bit. I'm gonna take it and wipe it off. And then I just want to go over my cake edge. You just want to do this around the entire perimeter of your cake to get it perfect exactly how you want. The little cake here is perfect, nice and crisp, just how I like it. I'm going to pop it into the freezer for about 10 minutes so that the ganache can harden up. And then I'm going to show you how to flip it over and pop that top board off and smooth over any imperfections. In the meantime, you want to just heat your ganache until it's in a liquefied state so that we can correct any imperfections, any air pockets that are underneath here. For a perfectly smooth ganache cake is to take your tiny sharp palette knife, and I'm just going to heat that under a little bit of hot water and run it along the edge of the top board, and then you just do it all the way along and this board should pop right off. And then I have some melted ganache. It's kind of like when we began, nice and liquefied, and that way we can fill any potholes on the top of our cake. Here we go. This is like opening a secret Santa gift. You never really know what you're gonna get here. But if you did it right, it shouldn't be too scary. Just want to take that and run it along. Okay. And then just peel back your wax paper. And ta-da! It's pretty daggone good. So there isn't much to do now. So what we will do though is you have a couple just little areas that aren't completely perfect. So I'm going to take a little bit of the runny ganache and just smooth it over those areas that need a little perfecting. A little bit along the edge here. And because the cake is really cold and the ganache is still pretty warm, you shouldn't have any problem getting it to smooth right on there. That's really as close to perfect as I need this to be right now for my purposes. But if you want to get it still a little more smooth, then you can just go ahead and heat this up again and run back over it one more time with the hot bench scraper so that you can get out any last little imperfections, which is especially helpful if you're going to just decorate this as is. If you're putting fondant on, all you want to do is make sure that your corners are nice and crisp and even, which these are. So for putting fondant, we're pretty set to go. Be sure to subscribe to our blog below and look out for more emails including tips and tutorials that'll really help you take it to the next level as a cake artist. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, hey guys, hey guys, hey guys, hey guys, hey guys, hey guys. Not a design, not a design. Trimmed and has icing. And also to have a ganache.